Nothing else, huh? Now, understand whether you like it or not. Let me give you a little bit of a history lesson. Now, we like to call it the Civil War. The truth is, it really wasn't. And here's the truth. The North was the United States of America, the Union. The South was the Confederacy. Now, in order for it to be a civil war, technically, you have to both be in the same country. Well, technically, when the South seceded, they became a separate country. Not just because maybe Washington, D.C. and Abraham Lincoln didn't recognize them doesn't mean that they were not a separate country. They had their own president, their own legislature, their own money, their own currency. It was a war like any other war, really. But we like to call it the Civil War because it gives us an anchor for knowledge. It lets us know exactly what was going on at the time. But technically speaking, the North declared, or the United States of America declared war on the Confederate States of America. They were two new nations, fairly new, small, going to war over a number of different issues. Now, you can go ahead and try to say, well, no, you're wrong. No, go look at the history books. Were there two countries? Was there the United States of America, and was there or was there not the Confederate States of America? Yes, the South believed that they were the Confederate States of America. Plain and simple, end of discussion. So therefore, it cannot be a civil war. Now, granted, from what we know, the South, as we like to call them, did not yet adopt a real national flag. So they use a number of different flags, and the Union, the rebel flag was one of them, the battle flag. It is the flag that was carried most often into battle, representing the South. But that's it. Look, there were a number of different issues that led to the quote-unquote Civil War, and it just wasn't about slavery. Go look it up. This whole, I mean, look, there's sort of this proud tradition of being a rebel. And being a rebel, that flag is basically the representation of somebody being a rebel, not a racist. Doesn't necessarily mean that there are a lot of people in the North that fly the rebel flag. I don't particularly care one way or the other. And you know what? Most blacks up here in the North don't really care one way or the other. It doesn't mean much to us in modern terms. And now you have all these liberals running around out there talking about how bad this thing is. Well, you know what? You guys are a bunch of freaking hypocrites. Plain and simple. Because, hey, look, something came across my Facebook. And you know what? I do vaguely remember this. The Clinton-Gore campaign used the Union Jack. I think this is called the Union Jack, right? No, that's the British flag is the Union Jack. The Rebel Jack. Just call it the Rebel Jack. The Rebel flag. They use that as a background for some of their campaign literature. Clinton and Gore. Bill Clinton, Al Gore. Now, why don't you liberals go out there and start calling Hillary racist? You know, because she's out there, well, you know, I don't feel no ways tired. I've come too far. And she's out there claiming that, you know, Walmart should stop selling this flag. And Walmart and other retailers have capitulated. I mean, this is the biggest bunch of bunk I have ever seen. Look, there's, this whole notion that this 21-year-old kid is the epitome of gun violence and racism against blacks, and it's the epitome of white supremacy, has got to be this whole notion that there's this general, I was going to say evolution, but I guess you could say it's an epidemic of so-called white supremacy. Everybody's talking about, and I find it kind of interesting that, I see on social media that a lot of white people are talking about the fragile nature of the white ego because of white supremacy. I'm thinking, you have got to be kidding. So now you people are going to hate your own skin color because you believe in this bull of this notion of white supremacy. Let me tell you something about white supremacy. There's no such thing. And let me tell you why. Because frankly, let's look at world population. Whites are in decline. There is no supremacy there. The power has shifted. Whether we like it or not here in the USA is irrelevant. The power structure of the world has shifted yet again. And it shifted away from the Eurocentric beliefs, i.e. white supremacists. I don't know where this is just this is a last gasp attempt at the left, or from the left, to try to look. You guys are, the president said the N-word out loud, and this is a great time for discussion. Now it brings. You know what? I am freaking sick and tired of talking about crap. We have been talking about race relations for eons, for decade after decade after decade. Shut the hell up about it and start doing something about it. Enough talk. Talk is cheap. If you lefties think that there's so much racism in the world, then why don't you fix your own racist butts first? And then you can worry about everybody else. So don't tell me that everybody needs to talk about race. No, you know who needs to do something about it? You do. Liberals, you need to shut the hell up and fix your own asses. And when you get that right, then you can come to the rest of us and start preaching to us about it. But until then, you need to shut the F up. Because you're hypocrites, you're liars, you're bigots, you are the true racists, and I'm sick and tired of you. I'm done with you. I can no longer stand you. Can't be in the same room. I mean, this has gone way beyond usefulness now. You're trying to drum up the same BS day in and day out. And every time something happens, the old Rahm Emanuel thing, never let a good crisis go to waste, right? Don't tell me about letting a good crisis go to waste, because that's a leftist idea. You don't hear the people on the right, conservatives, talking about, well, we should never let a good crisis go to waste. No, that's a freaking leftist idea. And then not only should you not let a good crisis go to waste, but if it doesn't fit what you want, then you make it fit. Remember the O.J. Simpson, if it does not fit, you must acquit. Well, here, the liberals have taken that and they bent it and they said, well, if it doesn't fit, well, it stretches. We're going to make it fit. So even if this kid walked in that church without a thought of I'm just going to go out and kill black people today. Even if he didn't think of that, if he just thought, I'm going to walk in the first freaking church I see and start shooting people. Even if that was his stated thought, you freaking leftist, racist, bigoted a-holes would have turned this all around, just like you have. And you would have made this kid seem like he was a racist, and it was because of racism, not him, that he pulled the trigger. Oh, no. It's all about this kid. He committed the deed. I don't give a rip what his reasons are. And you can go ahead and talk about, well, it's about racism. No, bullshit. Has nothing to, it's about criminality. He pulled the freaking trigger, period. And you have a presidential candidate whose husband used the Southern rebel flag in their campaign literature. And now you want to lecture us on race relations. Mrs. Clinton, please have a seat and shut the hell up. You are done, Missy. Enough is enough of this crap. And you know what? People of color have got to stand up and say, what? You know something? You liberal whiteys need to shut the F up. Plain and simple. Because you guys are the big... I got a story here about... this is just so typical. Boston Globe. GOP campaign donations linked to white supremacists. Well, great. They have the ability and the right to spread their money around to anybody that they want, just as a non-bigot would. But let me ask you something. They're going to... The Boston Globe... not a conservative center of thought there. They're going to try to point out, well, this GOP campaign donor is a white supremacist. Really? So all the years that the KKK donated and propped up and supported the Democrats means what? And, for those of you who don't know, the KKK is just not a three-letter alphabet. It's not a fraternity. It's the Ku Klux Klan. Probably the biggest, most evil, diabolical, dangerous, and violent racial supremacist group ever created by mankind in these United States. I'm not going to say across the world, just the United States. And they were Democrats. They still are. And yet you're going to find one GOP donor who looks like he might be a white supremacist. Ooh. You got one. I love it when they try to pull out the David Duke card. Yeah, oh yeah, you got us on that one. Yeah, David Duke, yeah. KKK. Robert Byrd. You see, there's a difference there. The GOP turned their back on David Duke, and we didn't elect. The GOP did not elect David Duke. How many times did you re-elect Robert Byrd? Y'all still want to go toe-to-toe with me on this racist crap? I will bury you. I will go toe-to-toe, and I will knock each and every one of you out. I will bury you with the facts, with the truth, with historical documentation. You have got nothing. And this weak-ass attempt to try to talk about race all of a sudden, it's an obfuscation. We all know that. But let me tell you something. We on the right, we're just done with you. I know I'm done. I am through being nice. Now, I've tried to be reasonable. I've tried, when I'm having conversations and discussion online, in social networks, I try to be nice. I just give you fact after fact after fact. And you still come at me with all this crap, and then you end up trying to call me an Uncle Tom. Well, you know what? This is the last straw. I am so done with you. You have just fired me up big time. And you know what? It is about time that I start using the nuclear option every time I talk to you. You're done.